Hello everyone. I am Niloshima and I'm going to talk about starting your cloud journey, in particularly with Azure Cloud, and we'll talk about the certification AZ900. This will be, the four uh, contents that this will be, in front of you is the agenda where we will discuss about, the certification parts. Then we will talk in detail about the exam syllabus, the changes made to syllabus, how many questions are there in the syllabus, how much time do you get in the syllabus, and how many questions does it how much time you should be preparing for this certification, and how many questions are there which which you're gonna have to solve when it comes to pass that particular exam, this AZ900. Third, we'll talk about the learning materials, what is basically Microsoft is offering to learn. Most of the course material is free. We also have some, couple of, materials which are paid, and then we'll have a Q&A session. So let's start. This basically, this is the introduction where, I wanted to explain that what is the certification prerequisite and learning path and syllabus and the changes. If you want to, know more about the community, you should please visit this website. I'm going to share the link of this, website in the chat window so that you know where to look. Like I said, we are a technical community, and we offer basically, multiple technology agnostic topics for discussion, learning, and exploration. Uh, we have given a couple of webinars and seminars. We have speakers, from the across platforms, and we talk about, the latest stuff in the market. You're more than welcome to, to submit your queries, to submit your writings, articles, technical articles, with us, with brewing codes. We have a couple of people in the team. I myself am Niloshima. We have Vijay, we have Deepti. More or less everyone is in cloud. That's my brief introduction. I am Niloshima. I know that I know everyone, who has joined the call. So hi Himanshu, hi Khaja, hi Sonam. And I know that I know you guys personally, but just for the for the sake of letting everyone else know, I am basically a cloud solution architect. I'm a Azure certified architect. I have worked with I guess it's going to be 11 years now in the industry. I'm blessed with the skills in cloud consulting and development with Microsoft technology, solutioning and designing, the frameworks, the application. I do have a little bit exposure of, project management, program management, and my forte is basically, architecturing the solutions, majorly in banking and finance industry. And I have done a bachelor's, in computer science. These are the, my contact details. I'll share it with you post the session. So, was it the first topic? Why do you want to, why anyone would like to be a cloud specialist? We know that, what is cloud? Cloud is basically, it's an on-demand availability system, which is basically which consists of resources, data storage, computing power, and without the direct active management when it comes to the consumers of the use that resources. So it's basically something which is which you can access over the internet. And when I'm talking about the certification, gaining the certification will help you with showcasing your knowledge and cracking your interviews. Apart from a couple other benefits, you get to choose a career, flexibility. You get to have higher salaries, and you definitely will, you have the, since you have the credential, you can say that you are an asset rather than a liability, where the organization have to teach any one of you, cloud from the scratch. Because these days everyone wants to hire an expert. No one wants, to hire a novice. So what is the competitive advantage? When you have no certification, you have to prove your knowledge. You have to, prove your knowledge in the teams, in the project teams, and with the, when you have to prove that specific knowledge, even when if you are looking for change, you have to make that case, for yourself each and every time when you are saying that you have no certification on that specific, the set of technology. But if you are a cloud certified professional, certification basically you get an accreditation from the institution, and in this case, this accreditation is, the institution is Microsoft, and it gives you the global, it's a global institution, right? So it gives you, your credentials are valid globally, and you're a professional when it comes down to the, perform the roles and the responsibilities with, along with the, best practices in the industry. Why one have to adopt even the cloud? Because of these four reasons, as per me. The costing when it comes to cloud is relatively cheaper. The execution time is faster. The support in, artificial intelligence and machine learning, and the reliability, the largest network throughout the world connecting the data centers. This is basically the market distribution as of now, what cloud have. So AWS holds 85% of the market, Azure holds 5%, GCP 3, and rest of the 2% is basically held by organizations like IBM, Oracle, DigitalOcean, Bluehost, so on and so forth. This is basically, the different categories of certification. Easy 900 is basically known as Microsoft Azure Fundamentals. This is the basic certification of, Azure, which includes only the fundamentals, only the conceptual knowledge. Then, post doing that, there are certain certification paths. I'm going to show you the certification path as well, and then we'll come back to this slide again. So this is the certification path. You can see that you can do AZ 900, which is an optional certification if you are, going for. So if you want to, if someone is from administrator background, you would want to do AZ 103. If someone is basically a developer, you would want to do AZ 203. If someone is is basically, looking for architecture part of, that solutioning, designing, and architecture things, you will go for AZ 300 series. In this case, if one is 70535 certified, you have to do AZ 302 in order to, maintain your credentials. As you could see that AZ 900 is more or less optional in each and every case, but that's the basic certification. It's like, learning ABCD, to, to form a word, to form a sentence, right? So uh, this is basically more or less the, the certification path. You can also, if you are basically specially looking in, some sort of technology oriented thing like, Devops, you can go for AZ 400, but you have to do, either 103 or 2032 to move to that, that portion of the technology. Like I said, I have explained that AZ 900 is more or less optional in each and every case. AZ100 series is basically for Microsoft Azure administrators, IT people, IT admin people. They take care of the they take care of the the infrastructure, provisioning virtual machines, and the networking and so on and so forth. AZ200 series is basically like I've showed you 200, sorry, 203. So 203 is more of a developer oriented solution where it talks about Kubernetes containers and CLI, Azure Batch, and related stuff, right? It is basically divided into 4 5 modules, which has like developing infrastructure as a solution, developing SaaS as a solution, developing PaaS as a solution, and then Cosmos DB, table storage, that sort of stuff. AZ300 is more into the planning of solutioning, the designing part of the infrastructure with the Azure. So it talks, AZ300 basically talks about you know uh, what services to choose, the sort of agreements, the SLAs, the EAs, which we are going to make, the subscription, how many subscription one need, how if you want to, if you are looking for migrating your whole infra from on-prem to cloud, how to how you would want to do that. So AZ300 talks about that. Now, let's jump to the agenda. Uh, as of now, if you guys have any question, please do let me know. I hope I'm audible to everyone and everyone is able to see my screen. Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Amit, for confirming. Okay, so let's discuss. We will talk in and around about the exam syllabus. There are some changes which have been made. You know, in the exam, and what types of question which you'll see in the exams, the learning material and free versus paid learning material. I'll also give you the details about how to prepare for the exam, when to schedule it, and how to schedule that exam, and uh, related stuff, right? I'll also help you with the providing couple of sample questions. So that's something which I'll give you post this this discussion. Just so you know, if we go back to the slide and see, I'm somewhere here. I am a certified Azure architect, and I did both the I did all the 3 exam, AZ100, AZ200, and then AZ300 series. So let's start. No, I'm not going to say thanks as of now. So let me open, the exam syllabus for you. So let's talk about first the syllabus, and then we'll talk about the costing and everything. This is the exam syllabus. You can download it from the Microsoft official, website, which I have linked in the chat. You can please go ahead and take a look, but post this class, right? Let's talk about this, on the syllabus part. You'll see that the whole exam is basically divided into a couple of modules, right? It is divided into 4 types, four modules, where the first module talks about describing, the cloud concepts. The second module is talk about core Azure services. The third module talks about security, privacy, compliance, and trust. This is the core services. And then it comes to security, privacy, compliance, and trust. This is more or less related to the securities and compliance and related stuff. And the fourth module is basically pricing and support. you can see that the major portion of the exam is covered with this core services. This is the highest take in the exam. You This is more the more question. Most of the questions you'll see will be related to Azure core services, right? So let's discuss the syllabus in detail. You can see that this syllabus is basically divided. This first module is basically divided into three sections, right? Describe the benefits and consideration of using cloud service. This more or less talk about why to use cloud, and what was the need for us to move from on-prem to cloud. It talks about capex and opex, the economies of scale, the scalability, rigidity, elasticity, fault tolerance, disaster recovery. Then this second portion talks about the the cloud, that the classification of cloud. It talks about what is infrastructure as a service, what is platform as a service, when to choose what is software as a service. So just to give you an example, the virtual machine are basically virtual machine we use. If you are coming from a Windows background, you must have heard of virtual machine. Then they are part of infrastructure as a service category. Platform as a service is more or less a system which is basically help you with development, deploying, and testing the applications. Software as a service is more or less related to the software. Hello, can you put yourself on mute? Sorry. So, SaaS, there are a couple of SaaS providers in the market. You must have seen G Suite. G Suite is a SaaS provider. The Google's a SaaS product. You must have seen Office 365. That again is a Microsoft's SaaS. Salesforce. It has the biggest share in the market when it comes to SaaS products, right? And more or less, the question in this portion will be, related to the, what scenario based question you have to answer. In what scenario you will go for what, that sort of questions and answers. Then the third portion of this module covers, the difference between the cloud deployment models. There are three deployment models: private, public, and hybrid. And you'll get the solution. You'll get the questions which are in what scenario you would want to go to. You would want your solution to implement or probably migrate on public, or private cloud, or even hybrid as per se. There are a couple of course. Then the second module, but this is the most important modules, right? So in total, you're going to see that there are close to 85 minutes, and you'll get close to 40 to 60 questions, which varies. So in these 85 minutes, more or less major question in these in these 60 questions, major questions, and the interesting ones will be from this Azure core service module. We'll talk about the architectural components. What is region? What is availability zones? What is availability sets? Fault domain, update domain. What are resource groups? What is Azure Resource Manager? And the usage of these components. Then this portion of this module more or less talks about these services in detail. Services like container instances, Kubernetes service, virtual machine scale set, service function, network, load balancer, VPN gateway, CDN, content delivery network. Then in storage category, it will talk about blob, disk, file, and archival storage, table storage, and related stuff. Then some of the questions, though I have not seen much questions in this IoT sort of area. So it is okay if you don't know what IoT is and what sort of solutioning Azure provided, but more or less you should be knowing a little bit of the introduction, that what how how Azure Databricks is helping you to develop SQL data warehouse or big data related solutions. You'll also have to understand a little bit of artificial intelligence, and you would like to if you can, you should explore Azure ML Studio. And this is particularly for machine learning and artificial intelligence related application implementation. It also talks about, this portion of the course also talks about DevOps. Microsoft has a beautiful Azure DevOps platform from which you can do everything, and it is I guess free for I guess 5 people. If you have an organization which have 5 people, you can use, it's 100% free, right? Um, then this portion of the module talk about what are the Azure management tools, where you have you have portal, you have a PowerShell, you have a command line interface, and the cloud shell. You also have a bash interface, where you can easily write your commands and execute them. What I'm trying to say here is that you can basically write a PowerShell script to deploy a, let's say, for example, you can basically write a PowerShell script to deploy a virtual machine, or deploy 10 virtual machines, right? So this everything can be done via Azure portal, as well as these command line arguments, and as well. Azure Advisor is basically Microsoft's this ML based tool, which goes through with your usage, whatever your usage patterns, and it will recommend you a couple of solutions. Then we come to the third part of the module, third module, which it is this module talks about security, it talks about privacy, it talks about the compliance and identity service. And it is basically categorized in 4 sub modules. So you will see that this first portion of this sub module talks about network security. It'll this is basically in detail for, and this portion is more or less related to the admin people, but being a developer, you should also know that how, or gradually when you will designing the you will be designing the solution and architecting it, you should also know that what and all these things you should keep in mind while designing the application. One thing to notice, that apart from this DDoS protection, nothing in Azure is free, and you cannot change this DDoS setting, because this comes with the implicit, this comes with the implicit implementation. You have to choose it. This portion of the uh, exam syllabus talks about identity service. It talks about authentication, authorization, active directories, creating users, managing users, what rights and access you are planning to give a set of users or a specific user, those sort of details. Then the security tools talk about walls, they talk about threat protection API, they talk about information protection API. So these are basically, some features in Azure which will help you to understand the security concerns of your, product. This module talks about the policies. This is basically, if you have some some governance, you cannot store data. Some of in some of the region in Azure, you cannot make a virtual machine if you have a free user, and if you do not belong to that. Like, if I remember it right, a couple of years back, I was unable to make. I had a free account and I was unable to make, to create a virtual machine in China. That sort of policies. Then it talks about logs. It talks about RBAC. This is the portion which talks about how to do monitoring, how you will be reporting your expenses, how you will be taking care of these expenses and related stuff. This portion is basically this privacy compliance data protection. It basically talks about the standards, industry compliance like GDPR, ISO, NIST. It also talks about the trust center, the compliance manager, and like I said, Azure China Cloud Services. It talks about if the government cloud, there are certain organizations, certain government organization, they don't want uh, basically their cloud to be shared with anyone, so they don't they that sort of implementation is called gov cloud, gov cloud. They are basically the whole, let's say for example the US's Ministry of Defense is the whole Department of Defense has a gov cloud. The whole data, the whole infra has been moved and managed with the help of Microsoft. Now this is the last module in the in the syllabus. It basically what sort of subscription you have, what and all subscription you have to access the access control over those subscription, and the offers which basically Microsoft provides their end users. They have different type of agreements as well. There's sometimes you will see that someone will be will have enterprise level agreement, that the whole organization's cloud is managed by Microsoft. So that sort of arrangement is basically enterprise level agreements. That is basically called EAs. And with EAs, you'll see there is a lot of benefits when it comes to EAs. The costing of everything as compared to pay as you go model basically is less when you are signing an enterprise level agreement with Microsoft Azure. This talks about the planning and the management of the Azure services which you are taking. The most interesting part, which I like personally, is the pricing calculator and the total cost of the ownership, the TCO calculator. We don't we basically sometimes we basically get confused between both of them, but this part is very interesting, where you have to understand the pricing and you have to understand the the products, like what will be the cost of if you want to move a whole, let's say your organization have an EMS, employee management system, and you want to migrate that whole application to the cloud, including the data as well. So this basically helps you, these two things basically helps you to plan that activity. Now this another part of this module is where you will talk about the subscription support level, support level information, the support level options, the support level agreements, depending upon what sort of subscription you have, right? So this will more or less, when you start working on Azure, if you have some sort of agreement, let's say an enterprise level agreement, what is the SLA for that ticket? How do you want to open that particular ticket, and how to go through with the resources they already have in their Microsoft documents. This section talks about the service level agreements, like I have said. Uh, what is basically a service level agreement, and how to determine an appropriate SLA for an application. So, and this talks about the the service life cycle in Azure, right? Pretty much that was the whole syllabus which I have explained now. Then what sort of questions you will be seeing in that exams, I'll help you with that. Let's see. Now let's talk about the changes which have been made in the exam. So basically on this, this month, 28th May, the day before yesterday, I guess, there are a couple of changes which have been made. You can see that the title is not now understand cloud concepts. It's now describe, and the same goes for all the things in first submodule. The second submodule is same. The third submodule is same. The same changes have been made in the second module as well. Functions are not part of core product service as of now. Then this Azure Synapse Analytics has also been added, and SQL Data Warehouse has been removed. Then this understand section has been moved to describe. The same goes for the third module. Now this this fourth module is basically just talks about service level agreements and life cycle. It does not talk about support. So I hope that the whole support portion has been deleted. That's how it is. One less module for us to cover. So this will talk about how to describe these Azure subscription, and the planning understand has been moved to describe. This whole like it is mentioned right in the in this section that support is not part of this module as of now. The whole support section is not there. SLAs are there and the life cycle is there. So anyone as of now, do you have any questions? Please do let me know. You can unmute yourself. I'm happy to talk to you guys. Okay, so I guess you don't have any question. So let's talk about a couple of details when it comes to related to this certification. So you know that the exam name is Microsoft Azure Fundamentals, right? The technology it works around is cloud. There are no prerequisites, right? So you don't need to do to have anything for this exam. There are no prerequisites. The exam cost is more or less $99 USD, which is close to 5 INR, or I don't know, yeah, close to this. They'll be asking 40 to 60 questions, and the time limit is 85 to 90 minutes, I guess. Passing score for this exam is 700. So there are different type of questions during the exam, including case studies, short answer, multiple choice, mark review, drag and drop. There, and one more thing, one good information is that there is no penalty to give incorrect answers, as you will not be marked for wrong answers. So it's always better to answer all the questions, but just keep in mind that the passing score is 700. To pass this exam. So what is basically you will, anyone who is scoring less than this mark will be considered as fail. So just on the submission of the paper, your result will be declared within few minutes. But for the detailed exam report, I guess you have to wait for a couple of days. Your scorecard will also contain the details, including your overall performance in the exam, your pass and fail status, a bar chart as well, demonstrating your performance in the key area of the exam, like how much you have performed in first this first exam, and together with the in the instruction of exam results interpretation, right? You can also, God forbid, if you have any doubt in if you have any doubt in your passing, if one has failed, so in case you're not able to pass the exam for the first time, you would be required to wait at least 24 hours, to retake the exam. And in case you're not able to pass it the second time, then the waiting time is basically extended to 14 or 15 days, I guess. I guess it's 14 only. This is second attempt. Okay. And you can take, I guess, 5 retakes in a year. So, there are certain policies when it comes to, exam cancellation. So in case you plan to cancel or reschedule the appointment, then it should be done at least 6 business days before the scheduled exam time, such that there are no charges for the cancellation. And just in case if there is any cancellation or rescheduling done within 5 business days, then you will be charged a very nominal fee. But if you fail to reschedule or cancel the appointment 24 hours before the scheduled time, then the entire examination fees will be forfeited. So these are basically, the cancellation policy. So I'll share you how, how you can register yourself with the portal. You have to schedule an exam with Pearson VUE, because I don't think that any one of us are, I mean, if you are an instructor or a student, you can anyways go with Certiport, and but if you're a professional, if you're a non-student, you should get it done with Pearson VUE. You have to pay the fee, you have to schedule the exam, and then there are a couple of steps where you have to fill in the details and everything, and then you will be good to go. Now, let's talk about the preparation strategies, right? What you need to to learn, to understand about this to regarding this exam, right? So there are a couple of resources provided. There is one resource which is my Microsoft's learning platform. You can see this Microsoft portals act as a command center for all Microsoft exams and certifications. So you can easily find the listing of all Microsoft certifications in the Microsoft learning pages, and you can easily find the page for AZ900 in this portal. In this case, you can go it from here. This is the learning path. If I click on start, you'll be able to see that there are certain modules, and you can start with whatever module you want to go, and whatever sub modules which you would like to cover, right? Then there is another there is this another learning resource, which is basically Microsoft's documentation, which I guess every .NET developer calls it MSDN. And believe me, these two are more than enough. At least for this exam, you need not to, if you think that you can, sorry, if you think that you would want to go for the exam, and so more or less every information pertaining to this specific exam is provided in these two. And then of course in the third case, you can go for these instructor videos, that online tutorials plural site on Udemy. And the fourth is basically you can take an instructor-led session. There are a couple of things which may make you confused when it comes to using these two. So certain things which are actually better that one should take with the instructor, like things like this where is that thing? This security, responsibility, trust, the monitoring thing, the whole costing thing. You have to have a bird's eye view to understand those concepts. Um, Last but not the least, I'm going to share couple of couple of questions in which we can talk about. Just give me a moment. I'm just trying to open the PDF. So okay, so there are a couple of I have a couple of questions where I can show you what sort of questions you should expect when it comes to the in the exams. So as you can see, right, that there is this first question which talks about, this is basically a case study sort of question, or but it is more or less related to the theoretical concept. You can see that this question is talking about, you have a several virtual machine in Azure subscription, you create a new subscription, but those virtual machine cannot be moved to that new specific subscription, right? So this is basically the exam. This sort of the questions will come in the exam, right? Then let's say, since you cannot move the virtual machine from an existing subscription to the new one, the answer should be something like this. And this is the part which is basically covered in Azure pricing and support module, right? The same goes for this question as well. And they are talking, this question is, your company plans to purchase Azure. The company support policy states that Azure environment must provide an option to assess support engineers by phone or email. You need to recommend which support plans meet the support policy requirement. Solution: recommend a basic support plan. Does this meet the goal? Answer is yes or no. So they are telling you that what is the answer for this, right? What I will do, I'll share these contents, whatever I have with me, to a drive, and I'll upload this video to the Growing to Codes channel, YouTube channel, so you can just go ahead and watch it again. And I'm open for questions. I guess we have 10 minutes left as of now, so if you have any questions, I'm happy to help. No questions, guys? Hello? No questions, guys? I mean, don't you have any question? Okay, in that case, like I said, I give you my contact information. This is my LinkedIn ID. I'm also available at this email, Niloshima at Brew. Sorry, the email is wrong. Let me write it again. linkcoach.com. You can also reach me on Twitter using this, you know, information. I have pinged everything over the chat. If you want, you can take a picture. Thank you so much, guys. I hope this session was useful.